Hey folks, and welcome back. Today we're diving back into our dollar store 5-room dungeon. I'm pretty excited about it, so I'm not going to waste too much time on the intro. I just want to go over the rules really quickly. The only real rules are that everything I use in the construction of the dungeon has to be from the dollar store, with the only exception of glues and paints. Other than that, all from the dollar store. That said, let's jump into room 2. Now, I don't know your players, but I know mine, and with my first room being a social encounter, I know they'll want something a little spicier for the second, so I'm going to leap straight into a combat encounter for room 2. I want 2 combat encounters in the dungeon anyway, and this gives me room to space them out. But I don't want just a straight-up clash with the undead for the first one. That's not very exciting. So our next room is going to be a descent into a misty pit, where the way forward is crumbled and our adventurers have to hop across translucent, magical platforms of mist to get to the next room. This gives the players more options to define their character and how they fight. To jump from platform to platform requires a DC 10 athletics check, which is relatively easy to make, but the players don't get to know the DC, so they don't know that. While this is going on, there's a group of skeletons raining arrows down on your party from a stone alcove nearby. Should the party decide to stand on the misty platforms and fight, each turn will require a DC 5 acrobatics check to keep their balance. If they fail that acrobatics check, they plummet into the mist, and there should be some consequence for that, however minor. So we'll say 1d4 damage per round that they're in the mist. And however they decide to get out, whether that's teleporting, climbing, using a grappling hook, or another player helps them, just let them do it. That way, they get to be creative and cool and feel like they're doing something awesome. And they're also burning character resources so that they won't have them later in the dungeon. To help the dungeon feel claustrophobic and to give a sense of height and space, as well as give our shooty skeleton boys somewhere to stand, I'm going to do something I don't normally do. I'm going to include part of the wall structure of the dungeon. So I cut that out first from black foam, remove one side of the paper backing, and sketch on some rocks and stones with a ballpoint pen. Then I texture our mausoleum wall with a tinfoil ball. I use more black foam to make the platform for the skeletons to stand on. I just kind of carve away any straight edges on the foam, except the one I'm gluing to the wall. One of the cool things about using the undead for something like this is that you don't have to worry as much about logistics, how they got up there, how they get down, what do they do or eat while they're there. It doesn't matter. They're dead. They're just hanging out, waiting for adventurers to shoot. I hot glue the ledge onto the wall, and that gives us a solid platform for the skeletons, or for our adventurers to leap onto and fight from. Before I move on to the next part of the craft, I do take a few minutes to coat the wall in Mod Podge and black paint. This will stiffen it up, help to secure the platform in place, and give a dark base coat to work our paint up from later. It also takes time to dry, so I can do it now and then just move on to the next piece. By the time I need this one again, it will be dry. The floor of the second room is going to be the base for our mist, and so I use white foam for it, not black. It's not going to get painted, and the white foam gives a brighter background for the mist effect. I measure it to be the same length as the wall and just hot glue them together. The next part is a little trickier, but not too much. I go back to the black foam to make some stone platforms. We're going to need 2 of them. One of them is the one the adventurers start on, and the other is the exit from the room. In this case, I want to make the exit platform lower than the entrance one, and I also add a step to the top of the entrance platform to give the impression of having come down from the mausoleum above, connecting it to our first room. That the adventurers are jumping to a lower platform will also continue to give the impression that they're moving deeper into the earth with each room. Each step takes them further from the sunlight and deeper into the cursed mausoleum. These 2 platforms get hot glued onto opposite sides of the room and not directly across from each other. I offset them a bit just to make it a little more interesting. Also note that the skeleton platform is higher than either the entrance or exit. If the players want to get up there and fight the skeletons directly, they'll have to work for it. I do want to note that I'm not building a door for the exit because I'm just going to use a modular one. If you don't have any of those, check out my earlier Dungeon Basics videos. Those should be able to help you out. While I get the rest of the black foam coated in Mod Podge, I'd like to take just a moment to thank all of you for watching. I appreciate it. Hitting the like button or subscribing to the channel is a great way to show your support. It's only a tiny click for you, but it makes a big difference for small YouTube channels like mine. Of course, even bigger thanks go out to my Patreon supporters. I appreciate your support month after month, and the difference that even a few dollars makes is tremendous. Thank you so much. And there are links below if any of you want to join the Patreon or just set up a one-time donation. Once the Mod Podge is dry, it's time to paint. I'm just using basic craft paints here, and this is going to get the same basic paint scheme that the mausoleum itself did in the last part of the series. This will not only keep things simple, but it will connect the outer mausoleum to the inner portions of the dungeon. So all of the stone areas get a medium gray base coat, a light gray dry brush, and a black wash. You don't have to be too precious about getting this on the white foam, by the way. That's all going to get covered up. While that dries, it's time to start working on our translucent misty platforms, the highlight of the room, and the special feature that's really going to make it pop. And thankfully, it's pretty simple to do. These plastic dollar store wine glasses are going to provide our platforms. I cut the stems off the glasses with my hobby knife, just sawing it a little and then breaking it off by hand. Now, I could have used a saw or a rotary tool, sure, but somehow getting out power tools felt like it was going against the spirit of the challenge, even if it's not technically against the rules. I make sure to cut the stems off at different lengths, and then I just turned them upside down and hot glue them in between the two stone platforms scattered randomly. With that done, that just leaves the mist. And as usual, it really is this last feature, this last detail, that brings the room together and makes it something your players will remember. Our mist today is courtesy of cotton balls, tacky glue, and some very sticky fingers. As I went on, I discovered that the easiest way to do this was to spread the glue on with an old brush and some water, then to shred the cotton with your fingers and just press it into the glue. It's going to be messy. You are going to get covered in cotton threads, and for hours after, you'll wonder why you never wear gloves even though there's a box of gloves right next to your crafting station. But as you're about to see, I think the final product is worth it. The descent into the cursed mausoleum continues, the path crumbling away before the adventurers. If they want their spoils, they'll have to leap, teleport, and fight their way through a rain of arrows loosed by terrifying undead archers. Who said getting cursed treasures should be easy? No, this family wants their secrets to stay buried, and they're willing to bury you with them. Alright folks, thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you've enjoyed the video. The next room of our 5-room dollar store dungeon is already in the works, and that video is coming up shortly. So there is more content on the way, and I'll see you on the next one.